In today's video, we're giving a full update and progress report on the 500-gallon plywood aquarium behind me. It has been up and running with fish for about 3 months now, believe it or not, and we are going to be doing a ton in today's video. I'm not only going to be showing my water change and maintenance process on this tank, I'm going to be giving a full update on all the fish. I'm going to be checking out the Stingray and seeing how he's doing in his other tank. We're going to be unboxing some equipment, which will be awesome for this tank, as well as maybe the coolest thing is the custom DIY lighting rack that we are going to build in today's video that I think is really going to set off this tank and make it look awesome. So let's dive right in. This is actually episode 9 in the Plywood Aquarium build. We started all the way back with episode 1 where we built the tank stand. Then we started building the shell of the aquarium out of plywood and 2x4s, adding the bracing. Then we started waterproofing this with fiberglass and pond shield. We installed the plumbing and the sump. We started doing the external bracing as well as the bracing on top of the tank. We installed the glass and the silicone. We worked on the exterior of the tank, making it look a little bit better. And then we did the fish transfer, which was awesome. And all these big cichlids have been in here in their new upgraded home for multiple months, so we will give an update on them. We also unboxed the beautiful black diamond Stingray, and we'll give an update on him in this video as well. And even though we've shown the 500-gallon tanks in recent videos, this is the 9th dedicated video to this, which is now in a playlist, which I'm linking down in the description below, as well as all the materials I used for this build. You can find that in the description. But this is a massive update, and I think the tank's going to look so much better towards the end of this video. We're going to walk through the water change and maintenance process on this tank, but before we get to that, let's check out the lighting and I'll explain a little bit more. So on top of the tank, you will see the existing lights with the DIY lids that I made. And these are really nice Ecotech Radion lights, but they are currently on a railing system, which you can see there. And I meant to hang them from my ceiling, but with the railing and these 3 lights, I'm worried that it's a little too heavy to hang directly from my drop ceiling here. I've had like rags on the top of the tank to make it sit there a little more flush. It's also been frustrating because I can't really remove the DIY lids without lifting up the lights. So this is something that's going to make everything look better. Also, with the lights being so low on the tank, it makes the tank itself look a little more cloudy than it is. And so I definitely want an upgraded system here. Even though the Ecotechs are really nice, expensive lights, I'm going to reuse these on some different tanks, and I'm going to use some different lights for the custom rack. So in the 150-gallon tank here, I've had these brand new Kessel Tuna Suns. This is the new model, and I've absolutely loved them in this tank. The way it makes the tank look with the shimmer just really can't be beat, and I've had them hanging in a different way on my discus tank. Here on the 90-gallon discus tank, you can see them hanging from the hook that comes in the box with them, and it's hanging directly from my canopy, so I can easily get to my lids. They're hanging a good distance off the top of the tank to provide the best light spread and shimmer. And you can see the other one right here. And so it got me thinking, what if I did this on a custom DIY light rack above my plywood tank? And that got my wheels turning, and I think it's going to look awesome. So we need to get a 2x2 and a 2x4 to get this process rolling. And I really like the idea that it's another DIY project, since this whole build was DIY. And I kind of like to test my skills and see what I can do, and I think this custom lighting rack is going to look awesome. But first, you can see that the tank's a little bit cloudy. It needs a water change. I'm about 2 weeks since my last one. I also need to scrub off the algae and get it looking nice, so I'll show that process now. Let's go. So water changes and maintenance on this tank really hasn't been too difficult, but when I start my water change process, I usually use the flipper float here and just wipe off all the algae. You can see some brown algae that accumulates on the glass, so I just give this a nice once over, and anytime you're getting the algae off the glass, it's going into the water column, obviously. So once I do this, I just do the water change, and then everything's being pulled out of the tank at once. And just having the one viewing panel actually makes it pretty simple whenever I'm trying to clear off the glass and make it look good. So this is a pretty quick process, probably takes me about 1 or 2 minutes, and then I start doing the water change right after it. So this is one of the most annoying parts, is lifting the lights up right now and getting these DIY lids off so I can access the tank. Once I get lights that are above the tank, I'll have much easier access to it. But with one of the lids off, I just put the Cichlid Ultra Zero pump connected to the Python, and I just put it directly into the tank and then plug it in. And now we just wait for the pump to drain the water. I usually do about 30 to 40% of a water change on this every 2 weeks. That's just based on the nitrate levels in this tank right now. It will probably increase once the Stingray goes in here. Also, as the tank starts draining, I just go into my Cichlid control app and turn off the sump pump and the wave makers. And this pump is rated about 750 gallons per hour, so it does take about 30, maybe 35 minutes to drain that much water volume. We're going to show an upgraded pump in just a minute, which is really going to speed up this process, but for now, we'll just wait. So now that we have the water drained, it's time to unplug the pump, remove the pump from the end of the python, replace the python end piece, and then start filling the tank with tap water. And while we're doing that, we are checking for the temperature to make sure it's pretty similar to the tank water, and we'll be adding dechlorinator as it fills. Super simple. The only other thing I do on this tank every other time I do a water change is to remove and add some new filter floss into the sump. The rest of the media I don't rinse or wash or anything like that. The rest of the sump looks great. It's good to go. I might replace some of the filter socks every 6 months or so, but right now they look fine. On my other custom aquarium seamless sumps, I don't exchange those hardly ever. So then we just wait again for the tank to fill up. So the water is almost full, and after that I'll just turn on the pumps and the wave makers. But I did want to showcase an awesome new pump that I'm going to be using for this tank. It will speed up my process dramatically, so let's check that out before we check out the new light system, which we're also going to build in this video. This is the Ultra 9000 pump. I couldn't be more excited for this. It's really going to enhance my water changes. The Cichlid Ultra Zero pump, which did about 750 gallons per hour, well, the Ultra 9000 is about 3 times that with about 2,300 gallons per hour. So this is going to make my water changes super fast. Let's check it out. And here it is, straight out of the box, ready to go. Right away you can see the size difference on these things. It's about 3 times the size as well. I do really like the Cichlid Ultra Zero pump, and I'll continue to use it on some of my other tanks. This connects really easy to the Python hose, which is really convenient, but this is going to need a bigger hose than the Python because it's going to be pushing so much water all at once. First off, the water is pulled from the bottom, and you can adjust that, but it can go down to 5 millimeters, basically the very bottom of your tank. On the side there's a little integrated float switch. The handle itself is the little whale from Cichlid, which is kind of funny. So I'm very excited to finally have this after seeing it debuted at InterZoo a few months back. I saw the demo and how much water it actually pulled through. But next up I need to get that wider hose and attachment so that I can test it out on the tank. So stay tuned for that. Next up I wanted to give an update on my beautiful black diamond Stingray. This is my male Stingray that I named Apollo. You can see him playing in the sand right now. Sometimes he'll completely bury himself and I'll just see eyes poking out.
Eye the tiger, man. Eye the tiger, come on.
I'll see him surfing the panels of the acrylic. He'll be hunting for food. He's super active, which has surprised me. I thought Stingrays might sit around a little bit more, but he is super personable, very active, and luckily he hasn't gone after the electric pulacara. I still have, I think, 10 of these guys in here. And I do plan on giving a few of these away to followers in the area that have reached out. So I think a couple of these guys will be going to permanent homes, and I'm still trying to figure out where the rest are going to go. I have an idea for that though. The Stingray is eating all types of frozen foods, which has been great. He also eats some monster pellets and just whatever else I put in the tank he goes after. It's really interesting to watch his behavior, him eating. You can see his mouth underneath him. It's just an absolutely magnificent fish. I can't say enough about him. And I'm just always in awe of him whenever I come down to my fish room. I just watch what he's doing today, which is probably different than the other days. And it's just always very unique and fun. And I cannot wait to get him into the Plywood Aquarium. Like I said, I've had him for a little over 2 months and he's really settled in nicely, put on some size, eating well, has gotten to know me, and we will definitely be moving him over to the Plywood Aquarium in the finale of this series. So I cannot wait. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so we got 2 2x2s, 1 2x4, got the miter saw and some paint. So just gonna make a couple quick cuts, screw some pieces together, and paint it, and we should be good to go. Basically, this is what it's going to look like. We have the 2x2 going across with the prongs going up. And then we'll have the 2x4s, just kind of small pieces of support that will be resting on the tank. And we'll be screwing this directly into the middle. I think it's going to look good, and then we'll paint it black. And of course, those lights will be hanging at equal distance 3 across. Okay, so now it's time to apply some paint. We're gonna make this black so it blends in with the tank. And if I get a little bit of spray paint on the floor, it's no big deal. We are actually renovating my garage and redoing the whole floor next week, so all good here. Let's go ahead and get some paint. So we now have the rack painted. It is time to let it dry, come back tomorrow, and put on the lights. So it is the next day, and we have it down here, and I think it looks pretty good. You'll also see that I have an L bracket and a mending brace. I just added that for extra support, just so it would definitely not wobble or anything like that. But we also have our additional Kessel that we have to unbox, and we're gonna start screwing these into place, and I'll show you how I do that now. I've actually done a full unboxing and review of this exact Kessel light, which I'll leave down in the description below. But this is the new Kessel Tuna Sun, which I have been running on my 150 and my discus tank. So the plan is to use this extra light and the 2 from the discus tank. So I'll have 3 total, and I think it's gonna look really good. Because like I mentioned, these lights just look so good on my other 2 tanks. Just really sleek and powerful. And let's see if it has the hook in here. I hope it does. And it does. It has, you can see these 2 gold hooks. I can basically screw them into the lighting rack by hand, and then it will hang directly from that. So I think it's going to be pretty easy to hang these up. Let's go ahead and do it. So the light will be hanging like that, right on the gold hook, which will be screwed into the 2x2. All right, and this light is going to be hanging right in the middle. So we definitely want it to be dead center. So now we are going to steal these 2 lights, and we are going to replace it with one of the radions. I'll put one of the radions here, and I think it'll still make this tank look awesome. And we will use the other 2 radions for a future project, which I can't reveal too much about right now, but I think they'll be used in a better place, in a better application than what we currently have. And the Kessels will just fit way better on the tank, plus I just can't say enough good things about them. But we're going to go ahead and take these. Sorry, discus. Next up, we got to do a little bit of cord management. As you can see, they are long cords, which is nice when they are hanging above a big tank. They'll be able to reach the outlet, but we're going to do some zip ties and make this look nice. Now for the new lighting rack, let's hope it looks good. Like a glove. Like a glove! That already looks incredible. So this custom DIY rack is now on the tank, and I am absolutely loving it. Not only does it look really cool above the tank and make the tank look even bigger and grander, but I absolutely love puck style lights like the Kessels here. And even though there's still some tweaking I need to do with the actual spectrum of the lights, because on camera for some reason it looks a little more yellow than when it does in person, or on my actual camera it looks a little more clear. But either way, not only does it look cool above the tank, but it provides an awesome shimmer in the tank itself and on the fish. They just look incredible. I hope the camera is picking it up as well as I'm seeing it in person. I could not be happier with these lights, and like I said, I'll toy around with the intensity and the color spectrum, but overall absolutely love this. And with these lights elevated off the tank a little bit, I have much more access to my DIY lids, so it's going to make maintenance and anything else on top of the tank way easier. I'm very excited to finally have this issue taken care of, and I did it in a way that I'm pretty proud of. So I hope you enjoyed it too, but let's now take a look at the stocking of this tank and just a general update of these fish under the new lights. So now the stocking of this tank. So first and foremost, we always have to start with the big tiger Oscar Nessie. Had him about 5 years, and he is doing great. Now that I've been feeding the Stingray some krill and shrimp, I actually give this tank a little bit of the leftovers, and this Oscar loves it. I definitely feel like he has hit a growth spurt, especially in his just size side to side. Absolute unit, and actually plays pretty well with the others. Next up, we have 3 walrus cichlids, and they probably have hit the biggest growth spurt of any. So I have 3 of them in there, but I absolutely love these guys, the red eyes. This is the biggest one right here. And then down below we have 2 Geophagus redheaded Tapajos doing great. They're a couple of the first in the tank. And then one of my most beautiful, maybe my most beautiful cichlid I have in my fish room is this amazing Geophagus spini. Beautiful coloration and fin extensions, not bitten up or torn up at all. Has really done well in this tank, and all 3 of the Geophagus sift the sand, and I hardly ever have to gravel vac or sand vac. I actually don't think I have in this tank once. And then here are my 2 Severums. These are the 2 girls. Big Red, who I've had for about 6 years, has done really well. And then the red shoulder Severum. So not as colored up as a male red shoulder would get, but also a great fish. Then we have the black Acara, one of my oldest fish, probably about 7 years old now, doing great. And then I also have the 3 electric blue Acara. And a lot of people commented worrying that the Oscar would eat the 3 electric blue Acara, but I thought they were big enough to definitely be okay with the Oscar, and I was correct, luckily. And I think all 3 of them have grown up just a little bit, put on some size, so definitely safe from the Oscar at this point, I think. And then of course we had the beautiful Bala Shark, probably my favorite non-cichlid other than my black diamond Stingray. This guy's probably about 7 years old now. This is Bruce, and he's put on some size in here too. I think the Bala Shark and the 3 Walrus and maybe my Oscar have put on the most size since they've been in the new tank. And like I said, they've, I think 3 months ago today was when they went into this tank, so they've all done really well. I think they've enjoyed the extra space. It's just an absolutely beautiful group of cichlids. I think the Stingray is going to fit in nicely, and a lot of you have also commented wondering about the floor space for the Stingray, and I've mentioned multiple times that I will be taking out some of the rocks especially for the Stingray. So this group of rocks in the middle, probably a couple more of the rocks around the driftwood will be removed so that the Stingray has plenty of space in this tank. And also the camera doesn't fully pick this up, but it is 44 inches front to back. So that's a lot of floor space in and around the driftwood. So I think the Stingray is going to be great in here and a really good tank mate for these guys. But I'm just so excited to have the lighting finally figured out, not only for my ease of maintenance, but also the overall aesthetic of the tank. The shimmer just is next level with the Kessels. And I love the actual fixture on top. It makes the tank look almost like double as big as it did, filling out this entire space from top to bottom. Just absolutely awesome. And I can't forget about the green Phantom Pleco back there, munching on some algae on the back panel. Absolutely beautiful Pleco, some really cool patterns to him. And he's gotten big in here as well, cleaning up some algae, so really like that Pleco. So I'm really enjoying this new light rack, the Kessels, and the shimmer in this tank. It looks so great, especially in person. And the rack itself was actually really cheap. It was only about $20–25 to make it. Just a couple 2x2s, a 2x4, some spray paint, some black cable ties, and it was basically good to go. So it was a budget-friendly option, but I think it came out looking great and really fits well on the tank, so I'm very excited about it. I'm also happy that all the fish in this tank have been doing so well for the first 3 months it's been up and running. I cannot wait to add the new Stingray in this tank. It will be the series finale, episode 10 on the Plywood tank, and it will be the transfer of that Stingray along with a few other things I have in mind. So much more to come on this Plywood Aquarium very soon. But thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.